We start with the Shanti mantra from the Upanishads. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraः Sthirairangaistushtvagam sastanubhih Yashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Viddashravaः Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaः Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May we hear only auspicious sounds with our ears, with our eyes. May we see only auspicious signs. That means may we perceive the divine presence in all forms. Similarly, with all our sense organs, may we perceive the divine presence in all and everything, and with all our sense organs of action, karmendriyas, may we perform all actions as his worship. In this way, whatever lifespan the Lord has given us, let us spend that life in serving him through all our actions and pleasing him in every way. May the blessings of the Lord in all his forms be upon us all, always. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shanti. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. Today we are going to begin chapter 10. This is a very interesting chapter. Also very easy, nothing complicated here. This chapter is called Vibhuti Yoga. The word Vibhuti has at least two meanings. Vibhuti, if it is used in masculine form, it's a noun. It means the holy ash we put across our foreheads. This holy ash, Vibhuti, is obtained by performing Homa, chanting Vedic mantras. But that is not the meaning here. Vibhuti here means the divine powers present in all and everything. We have seen before that everything in nature, all beings, function because of the divine power presence in them. The sun shines because of God's power in the sun. Fire burns because of God's power in fire, etc. So, in this chapter, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is going to point out with specific illustrations, examples, how to recognize God's presence in all and everything. That was the main thing that was taught in 6th chapter, chapter 6, sloka number 30, 630. There, Bhagavan Sri Krishna had said that those who see me in all, those who see me in all, me means Bhagavan, the Lord, and those who see everything in me, to him I will never lost. That means such people, they are always in continuous, unbroken communion with the divine, in God's presence. So how to do that? How to see God's presence in all and everything? In some, his presence is very clearly, vividly present. It can be seen. In some, it is somewhat hidden from you. But in everything, inanimate, animate objects, moving, unmoving objects, in the whole of nature, his power is present. He is present. How to see his presence in everything? That is what Bhagavan is going to tell us in this chapter, with numerous examples. You might remember that in the 7th chapter, this has already been done. In the 7th chapter, there are 3 verses. There, Bhagavan had already told us how to see his presence in everything in nature. In this chapter, it is the same message is conveyed with more examples. Why this repetition? This repetition is necessary because of the importance of the topic, so that we can understand, assimilate, and practice the presence of God in all beings. That is why this whole chapter is dedicated to the topic of how to see God's presence in all and everything, including wicked things, wicked people. You see, remember in the wild elephant parable, Sri Ramakrishna's parable, in the wild elephant also God is present. The tiger also God is present. In everything he is present, in good and bad. How to recognize? That is the message in this 10th chapter. So let us begin with the first verse. Shri Bhagavan Bhuya eva mahabaho Shrunu me paramam vachaha Yatteham priyamanaya Bhakshyami hitakamyaya. The Lord said, Bhagavan said, Bhuya eva, once again. Once again means this topic had been taught to Arjuna before in the 7th chapter, and to some extent in the 9th chapter also. Now, once more the topic is going to be explained in much greater detail because of the importance of this topic, namely practicing the presence of God, how to see God's presence in all and everything. Bhuya eva mahabaho Arjuna me paramam vachaha shrunu. Me means my, mama. Listen to my supreme words, paramam vachaha. Words of great importance and significance, not ordinary conversation. Paramam vachaha means every word the Lord says is very important, is of great significance. We should listen to his words carefully and with devotion. Arjuna does that one. Shruname paramam vachaha. Listen to my supreme words of supreme importance. Yat te aham priyamanaya vakshyami etakamyaya. These words that he is going to say, he's going to say to Arjuna because of 2 reasons mainly. One is priyamanaya. Priyamanaya means whatever Arjuna hears from the Lord, he enjoys it as if he is taking nectar. In the commentary, Shankaracharya says, Priyamanaya madvachanat priyase tvam ativa amritamiva piban. Ordinary conversation we hear, it does not make much impact. But when we hear the words of God, every word makes a deep impact on us. If you are prepared, otherwise it will be noise. Whatever we hear or see makes sense only if you are attuned to it. Arjuna was attuned to Sri Krishna's words. Otherwise, many people will read Gita and it does not make much impact. But since Arjuna was prepared, fully prepared, eager to listen to Krishna's words and enjoyed every word of the Lord of Bhagavan, so much happiness Arjuna got by listening to Krishna's words as if he was drinking Amrita nectar. Yatteham priyamanaya. Because you take delight in my words, Bhagavan says to Arjuna. Second reason why Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, see, Sri Krishna gave the teaching to Arjuna only because Arjuna knew the significance of Bhagavan's words. He valued every word of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, listened to it, great attention, and enjoyed it, and benefited from it, assimilated it. Many people will read the Gita, but very little impact is made. But you have to be attuned to the words of the Lord. Then it will make greater impact on our minds. It will penetrate into our intellect, and our life will be transformed if you are ready for that one. So we should, with great devotion and much attention, we have to listen to the Lord's words. That Arjuna was doing. Priyamanaya Hitakamyaya. Second reason why Sri Krishna chose this to reveal this knowledge to Arjuna only is Hitakamyaya. Hitakamyaya means Hitakamya Hita Ichaya, to benefit Arjuna. He was ready for that one. Other Pandavas were busy with the war. The war was going to start and they were all very busy thinking about the strategy about the war. But Arjuna had this doubt. Are we doing the right thing by killing our by killing our relatives and cousins? That question only Arjuna had. And he was ready to receive the advice of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Hitakamyaya, to benefit Arjuna, was ready to be benefited. If other people heard Krishna's words, maybe Duryodhana also heard Krishna's words. It didn't make any impact. Arjuna was ready. So to benefit him, Hitakamyaya, Hitakamyaya means here Hitechaya, for your benefit, Arjuna's benefit. Sri Krishna is going to say. This is all introduction. A few more verses contain introduction only before we go to the specific topics. Second shloka, second verse. Name vidusaragana prabhavam namaharshaya ahamadirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashaha. The translation is, the hosts of God know not my origin, don't know my origin. Neither do the great seers, Marshis. For in all respects, I am the origin of gods and the great seers. We are all part of his infinite creation. For us to go back and know our creator is difficult. Only a few already can do that one. Otherwise, we look outwards. Most of the time, the attention of most of the people is directed outwards into the world. What's happening in the world? Who is doing what, and food and clothing and car and dress and how to find enjoyment. This is what most people think most of the time. Very few people, they really think about the creator, the Lord. Who created this one first? Sri Ramakrishna gives us example. If a visitor goes to a very rich person's house, garden house, then that person is interested in the Aishwarya, in the wealth of the person. How big is the garden? How many rooms are there in the mansion? How many servants are there? This is what the ordinary visitor is interested in. Very few are interested in knowing the owner of this property. The Lord is the owner. We have to know him. Not so much his creation. If you know him, his creation will be known also. Arjuna was ready for that one. So here in the second verse, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Suraganaha. Suraganaha means all the groups of gods. There are in the Upanishad, two kinds of gods are described in the Taittiriya Upanishad. One is those gods who became gods by virtue of their good deeds. And then second group of gods are those who are already born as gods. All these groups of gods, Suragana, all the groups of gods, may prabhavam naviduhu. Prabhava means origin. The origin of God, origin, his powers, his glory. Even the gods do not know, not to speak of ordinary people. In the 7th chapter, we studied how very, very few people indeed are really interested in knowing God. There, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, verse number 3, chapter 7, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. There Bhagavan says, Sahasreshu Manushyanam Madhye. Of thousands of people, not one, many thousands of people. Of them, Kaschid Siddhaya Yatati. Only one rare person even tries for liberation, tries to know God. Most people are interested in the creation, this world, what it has to offer, enjoyment, happiness. Of those few even who even try to know God, Yatatamapi Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Tattvataha Vetti. Only one rare person really gets to know God in reality. So here it says, Suraganaha, even the groups of gods, may prabhavam naviduhu. May means mama. They don't even know my origin or my glory. They don't know. Na maharshaya haviduhu. Even the maharshis, great maharshis, who have reached perfection, they also don't know in reality about God. They may know something. Because God is the origin of everything and everything. Outward things, creation is easy to see. But to go back and see the creator is very rare, very difficult. That's the reason why very few people even try to know God. So in the second line, verse number 2, Bhagavan says, Aham Devanam Maharshinam Sarvashaha Adihi. Adi means some beginning. Beginning means source, causes. The Lord is the cause of all the beings, including the gods and maharshis. So he is the beginning. This came earlier also in 7th chapter. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna said, I am the origin and source of the whole creation. Now we go to verse number 3. Sarvasha means in every way. Sarva prakaraihi, Shankara says. In every way, God is the origin and source of the whole creation, including the gods and the maharshis. Even they do not fully know my glory, my infinite glory, my nature. Now, verse number 3. All of this is by way of introduction to describing his glories and everything. Verse number 3. Yo ma majam anadim cha vetti lokamaheshwaram asammodhas samartyeshu sarva papai pramuchyate. The translation, whosoever knows me as unborn and beginningless, and as the great Lord of all the worlds, such a person is released from all sins, for he or she is undiluted among people. We have to know God. That's the only way to become absolutely pure. To achieve 100% purity, free from all sins and evil thoughts and all kinds of impurities, the best thing is to know God. Then there is no trace of impurity left in us. Then we merge in God. We become same as Him. Yaha, that person who Mam Lokamaheshwaram Ajam Anadim Vetti. Yo Mam Vetti, he who knows. Whom? Mam, me. And he describes Bhagavan. What is Bhagavan? Two things are there. Three things are mentioned. Ajam is birthless. There is no beginning for God. Whole creation was there, was before whole creation came into existence, He was there. And after creation ends its cycle of existence, He will be there. Ajam means birthless. Anadim, no beginning, beginningless. Mam Ajam Anadim Lokamaheshwaram is the Lord of all the worlds. This world with which you are familiar, where human beings and animals and plants reside, and other worlds are also there, which we cannot see. Above and below us, 7 lokas above us and 7 lokas below us are described in the Puranas. For example, the Gandharva Loka. Gandharvas are being above human beings. There are also two categories of Gandharvas are there. Manusha Gandharvaha, Deva Gandharvaha. 2 levels of Gandharvas. And then the Pitruloka, etc. So many lokas are the worlds. He is the Lord of all the worlds. Loka Maheshwaram, Mam Ajam Anadim Yahaveti, one who knows me, who is Lord of all the worlds, who is birthless and beginningless. Asamuda, such a person is undeluded. He has clear knowledge. Asamuda means undeluded. Saha, such a person who knows the Lord, who is beginningless and birthless, with the Lord of the whole universe. Saha Martyeshu, among all the beings, Asam Muda is clear knowledge. Muda means one who is deluded by looking at the world and thinking this is all. The world is so fascinating, so many interesting things are there to watch and see and experience. So people are fascinated by the world. They don't want to think and they cannot think about the origin, the creator of the world. Everybody is so fascinated with the world, different things. Everything attracting our attention, promising happiness, but delivering very little. That's what happens for ordinary human beings. But a few people, those who are undeluded, they are not so much captivated by this world, but they want to know the Creator. Those who know the Lord, who is the source of everything, is beginningless. Such people, such a person, Martyeshu, among all human beings, rare indeed is such a person. What happens? Saha sarvapapaihi pramuchyate, becomes freed from all sins, whether committed knowingly or unknowingly. In the commentary, Shankaracharya says, Sarvaihi papaihi matipurvam amatipurva kritaihi pramuchyate pramokshate. Sometimes we do mistakes not knowing. Sometimes we do mistakes knowing what we are doing wrong, still we go ahead and do it. That came in the earlier chapter 3. Why people do mistakes knowing that they are doing the mistakes. Kama krodha, kama yesha krodha yesha, Sri Krishna answers. So whether a person commits a sin knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or unintentionally, sarva papa, by all such sins, saha, such a person who knows God, pramuchyate, becomes freed from all sins. That means he becomes totally pure and he will know God, he will merge in God. Now you go to verse number 4. Verse number 4 and 5 have to be studied together. They form one, actually they form one sentence. 4 and 5, study them together. Buddhir jnanam asammoha kshama satyam damashramah sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata tushtihi tapodanam yasho ayashaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva pratagvidha. Everything, all these conditions, states of our mind, things that happen to us in this world, happens according to the will of the Lord. And why some people enjoy good things, some people have to suffer, that is according to their karma. But he is the one who makes everything happen. So let us understand. First of all, a list of things are given. These things that happen to people, either the status of their mind, condition of their mind, quality of their mind, or things that happen to people, are all listed here in the 2 verses. Buddhi. Buddhi means intelligence. Some people are endowed with more intelligence, very high IQ. They can grasp everything very quickly. Some people don't have such sharp intelligence. They are slow to understand things. It varies. Why there is variation? Why everything is not a genius? That is because of their karma. What we have thought before. Karma means what you have thought and done. We ourselves have created what we are today. What I am today, this moment, happy or unhappy, knowledgeable or ignorant, whatever I am today, this is my own creation. I have myself sculpted this personality, impression by impression, thought by thought, deed by deed. Nobody is responsible. And we can change our future by thinking right thoughts, pure thoughts, and by doing the right things and saying the right things. So it's in our hands. Swamiji has explained this in the first chapter of the Karma Yoga book. How one can actually create one's own personality the way he wants by doing good or bad things now. Future is in our hands. Present we cannot change much because present what we are this moment is a result of what we already done before. There's not much room for, there is some room for change, but not much. Future is in our hands. So that is what buddhi here means, variation in the intellect. According to their karma, buddhi, jnanam. Jnanam means atmadi padarthanam avabodha. Jnanam means knowledge of the world also is knowledge, aparavidya. But here what is meant is paravidya, knowledge of the self. Very few people even try to have knowledge of the self. Of those few who try one here, one there, really gets knowledge of the self, Atma Jnana, Brahma Jnana. So Jnanam means knowledge of the self. Buddhir Jnanam asammoha. We got the word asammoha in the previous word. Asammoha means the ability to distinguish right from wrong. Some people have it to a larger extent, some to a less extent. Ability to discern what is right, what is wrong, what is proper, what is improper. Many people don't know. They do, and they end up doing wrong things, knowing that it is right, not knowing that it is the wrong thing. Asammuda means viveka. In other words, ability to distinguish between right and wrong, real and unreal. Buddhir jnanam asammoha. Kshama. Kshama means endurance. Some people have more endurance, they can endure more. Whatever difficulties come, they can bear without being affected much. Some people have less endurance. Even small difficulty is enough to upset them, and they are very much affected by even small changes in life. Kshama means endurance. Satyam, most important thing. In the gospel, in at least 8 or 9 places, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna says, for Kali Yuga, truthfulness alone is the tapas. By observing 100% truthfulness, we can reach God. In the Upanishad, truth is extolled very highly. Upanishad says, Satyameva jagate na andritam. Truth alone triumphs, not untruth. And truth is the bridge to immortality. Amritasya esha setuhu. Setu means bridge. Bridge to what? From merely or in the domain of ignorance to immortality, knowledge of God, self-knowledge. That bridge that takes us from here to there is truthfulness. Amritasya esha setuhu. So that satyam we have to practice at all times by thought, word, and deed. Kshama satyam. Damaha. Damaha means bahyendriya upashamaha. External sense organs. We have 10 external sense organs. 5 sense organs of perception, jnanendriyas, 5 of action, motor organ. All of those 10 have to be controlled. That discipline is called Dhamma. Dhamma means Bahyendriyanam Damanam, Upashamaha. Next one is Shamaha, control of the mind. That's even more difficult. Shamaha means Antah Karanasya Upashamaha. Inner instrument, mind. External instruments, inner instrument in the mind. Both have to be controlled. One is called Dhamma, control of external instruments, sense organs, 10 sense organs. Another is called Shama, control of the mind, inner instrument. Shamaha, Damaha. Sukham, Dukkham, happiness and unhappiness comes to people in varying degrees. For the same person, sometimes Sukha, sometimes Dukkha, sometimes combination of both, generally. At any moment, you are happy, something is happening, you are unhappy, something is not happening. Combination, Mishra. Sukham, Dukkham, Bhavaha, Abhavaha. Bhava means Udbhava, something coming into existence, birth. Abhava means Tadviparyayaha, absence of something. Both are due to the power of God. Bhayo, Bhavo, Bhavo. Atman alone has neither birth nor death. Everything else in this universe, whatever we can think of or perceive, has a beginning and an end. Bhava, Abhava. Everything has. That is because of God's power. God himself has no Bhava, Abhava. This we study in the second chapter. You remember one important verse in second chapter. Verse number 20. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Najayate mriyate va kadachit bhavita va bhuyaha na bhavita va na bhuyaha. Kadachit najayate na mriyate. God neither takes birth nor dies. There is no bhava abhava for him. Beyond both. For all other beings have a beginning and an end. They come into existence, bhava, they go out of existence, abhava. Their absence is abhava. Bhavo, bhavo, bhayam, cha abhayam. Opposite things. Bhayam means fear. There are very, very few people who don't have any fear. I met only 2 people in my life who had no fear. One of them came here. Some of you before center came, I remember. His name was Ranjit Maharaj from Mumbai. And I asked him, I was very free with him. I went to his room in Mumbai. He used to live in a very small room in a very creaky old apartment, which was about to fall at any moment. Very low-grade housing facility. In one hallway, there are rooms on both sides. At the end, there is one common bathroom for all the 10 families, 5 families in each room. One family in each room, 10 rooms. He is living in one small room. Only one small room. There is nothing. One cot is there, one photo is there of his guru. And then I went there and he also came here and gave lectures. Ranjit Maharaj. So I asked him, Maharaj, do you have any fear of anything? He said no. Emphatically said no. Then he gave an example. He used to walk in Mumbai, no vehicle for very low level living facility. He didn't have much money, he didn't want to have much money. He used to do classes in different parts of Mumbai. So he used to walk. He was walking along the street. You know how busy Mumbai streets are, vehicles and pedestrians and everything. So one car came and knocked him down. He fell down. The car struck him. And fortunately, the driver applied the brake just in time. And the car stopped. Maharaj is fallen on the ground, and the front wheel of the car stopped just touching his neck. If it had moved a quarter of an inch, he would have been crushed. At that moment also, he described this. At that moment also, I asked him what happened, what was going through in your mind when the car wheel came and stopped and pressing your neck. If it had moved a quarter of an inch, you would have not be there. He said nothing. Absolutely fearless, calm. One person, no fear at all. The other person who I met who had no fear was Swami Atmanandaji Maharaj. Swami Atmanandaji Maharaj and 2 of his brothers became monks. And Ramakrishna ordered monks. Atmanandaji Maharaj took his own sannyas. He gave the name Atmananda himself. And the order took him back. He was Brahmachari in Nagpur Ashrama, Atmanandaji, Tulain Maharaj. And then He left and took sannyas, or to take him back because of his very high qualities and abilities. He built a beautiful temple in Raipur. I went to see that temple. I met him a couple of times. And I also had the privilege of traveling with him in the Chardham Yatra in Himalaya pilgrimage. He had no fear. I asked him, do you have any fear? He said, no. Why to be afraid? Of what to be afraid? If the body goes, it goes, like that. Then I asked him, describe how do you don't have any fear? Then he gave a description. When he was away from the ashrama, he went to a Himalaya place. There was another great yogi, Purushottam-Ananda, and he was with him for some time, for a few months. This Purushottam Swami gave a room to stay, Atmananda to stay. You know what that room was? We saw that room. It's a big hole in the mountain. On the side of a mountain, a big hole. Only one person could go inside and not very deep. That was his room. In day or night, in winter and summer, heavy winds and whatever, they stay. And at night, there was no electricity, no lamp, nothing. He had to walk from place to place. At that time also, he said he had no fear. All other people I know, including myself, have fear of something or other. Abhayam, bhavo, bhayam cha abhayameva. That fearlessness is also granted by the Lord. Fear is our natural common instinct. All people, living beings have fear. Animals have fear also. People have also fear. Bhayam cha abhayameva cha. Fear and absence of fear. Bhayam cha abhayameva cha. Then verse number 5, continuation of the list. Ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence by thought, word, and deed. Ahimsa paramo dharmaha, Mahabharata says. No violence, causing any violence, not only physically, even by speech. If you say something harsh, even to animals, to a dog, if you yell at the dog will feel the pain. You can see on its face. That is violence. By thought, word, or deed, we should practice non-violence all the time. Non-ahimsa. Next quality is samatha. Samatha we studied. There was a homework you all did. So much remember? I asked you to make a list of all the shlokas in the Gita where Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about samatha, equanimity, in success and failure, happiness and having. Some of you made a very detailed list. That samatha means equanimity of the mind under all circumstances. Pain or pleasure, gain or loss, fame or infamy, praise or blame. Whatever happens, let one put garlands on, another kick this frame, say no. No praise or blame can be where praise or praised and blame or blamed are one. Thus be thou calm, Sannyasin bowls, say Om Tat Sat Om. Swamiji said in Song of Sannyasa. That is, samatha means remaining calm, whatever happens, good or bad, pain or pleasure. This has come several times in Gita, and you are familiar with those verses. Now, for example, in verse number 20, chapter 5, 520, Bhagavan said, Na prahrushyet priyam prapya, 520. Priyam prapya, na prahrushyet. If something very pleasant happens, we should not exult too much. Next moment it may change. Apriyam prapya no dvijet. Apriyam means something unpleasant, disagreeable, painful. If that happens, na udvijet. We should not become perturbed like this, maintaining equanimity. Other places too. Ahimsa samatha. Tushti. Tushti means contentment. Contentment in regard to possessions, property, fame, and all success, all these things we have to be content. Property, money, etc. Not in regard to devotion and spiritual practice. We can never say I've done enough japa, I'm contented. That is not the right thing, the wrong thing to say, to feel. Contentment in regard to worldly things, how much property we have, whatever we have, happy. There is nothing that gives greater happiness than contentment. In the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Patanjali says, Santoshad anuttama sukhalabhaha. If one has contentment with whatever he has, then he is extremely happy person. A person may have a lot of property, money, fame, everything. He may, if he is not content, then he is not happy without whatever property he has. So contentment is a great virtue. Samata tushtihi, contentment. Tapaha. Tapa means austerity, penance or austerity. In the 17th chapter, we're going to study 3 kinds of austerities that we all have to do. Austerity of the body, keeping the body in good condition. Body is a very precious gift. Human body is the most precious gift that we have already received from God. Because only with a human body, we can achieve God realization, not as with an animal body. If you are born as an animal, we only work out past karma. We can't do anything new, good or bad. As a human being, only we can achieve God. It's only from the human platform that you can rise to divinity. You can achieve God realization, not in any other form, not even as gods. So that is tapaha, austerity, keeping the body in good condition, most precious gift. Then second kind of austerity is austerity of speech. What we say must be truthful, non-offensive to other people, etc. So many 5 rules are given in chapter 17, verse number 15, 14, 15, 16, 3 verses. Body, speech, and mind. Similarly, austerity of the mind, keep the mind in good condition, practicing calmness and thinking only good thoughts, etc. So those are all tapas. We all have to do that. Ahimsa, tushti, tapaha. Next one is dhanam, charity. Charity has to be given to the right recipient, patra. Desha kala patra. 3 things have to be kept in mind when you give charity. The recipient must be the right recipient, fit recipient. The timing must be proper. If a person is hungry, they have to give food, that is the best charity. If he's not hungry, then you give him food, then he's already full. Stomach is full. It's not that much appreciated. Desha patra kala, desha. Desha means the place or environment where it is given. That is dhanam. Yashaha, ayashaha. Yasha means fame. How does fame come? In the commentary, Shankaracharya says, fame has to be earned by practicing dharma, righteousness, not by other means. He says, Yashaha dharma nimitta kirtihi. Kirti means fame achieved by dharmic way of life. People should look up to you. He is the best person among us, like this. You should set an example to others by following the dharmic lifestyle. That is fame. Ayashaha means absence of fame, notoriety. That is described as Ayashaha adharma nimitta akirti. By doing wrong things, people become notorious. They don't become famous, they become notorious. Then name will come in the newspaper. The newspaper, more people who commit bad deeds are mentioned than those who commit good deeds. Dharmic people, if somebody is doing the right thing, it's not mentioned in newspaper. It's accepted, right? The right, proper to right thing. Somebody does something wrong, that comes in the newspaper. That is akirti. Yashaha, ayashaha, yasho, yashaha. All of these things, the list began in the previous verse. The list began with the buddhi, intelligence, jnanam, self-knowledge, asammoha, viveka, discrimination, kshama, endurance, satyam, truthfulness, dhamma, control of sense organs, shama, control of the mind, sukham, dukkham, happiness and unhappiness, bhavo, bhava, birth and death, absence of being, bhayam cha abhayam, fear and fearlessness. All of these things, and continues in the verse number 5, ahimsa, non-violence, samatha, equanimity, tushti, contentment, tapaha, austerity, dhanam, charity, yasha, fame, ayasha, infamy. All of these things, what happens? Bhavanti, bhutanam bhavaha bhavanti, matta eva, by me alone. The Lord is saying, all of these things happen to beings, mostly human beings. Animals also don't have that much sense of truthfulness, not truthfulness. They don't have that ability to distinguish. Human beings. So human beings All of these things happen by the grace of God. Why there is so much variation? Some people are so famous, some people are not known to anybody, or some people are very happy, some are so unhappy. Why there is variation? There in the commentary, Shankara says, Swakarmanu Rupena. According to one's own karma, these things happen by the grace of God. So what is the message here? If you want to have happiness, sukha, contentment, all these things, we have to practice all the virtues. Virtues means good qualities. They are listed in one place that many of you know because you are studying Raja Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutras with Swami Atmagyanananda. There, the 10 Yama Niyama rules are described. Yama and Niyama. Those 10 rules have to be followed by everybody for success in, those are the foundation for spiritual life. So now we go to the next verse, verse number 6. Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastatha madbhava manasa jata yesham loka ima praja. Manasa jata means the Maharshis and everybody else, Manus, everybody, they are the mental progeny of the Lord. Manasaputra. Mentally, they were created by God, not in a physical sense. Human progeny is by creator in a physical way. Not these people. Who are they? Maharshaya, Bhrigvadi Maharsha, Bhrigu, etc., and other Maharshis. Sapta Rishis are mentioned in the Puranas. All the great Rishis, Maharshi, great Rishis. Sapta, 7 of them. Purve, they were in the beginning. Chatvara Manavastatha, 4 Manus. Manu is a person in charge of one whole cycle of creation, Manvantara. Savarnihi, Vaivasat, they are all Manus. 4 of these Manus, they were created by the Lord mentally. Manasa Jata, created by the Lord. First level of creation, first order of creation. Madbhava, they all have the same powers as the Lord himself, except power of creation. And they are the progenitors, they are the parents in a way of all the remaining beings. Yesham imaha prajaha, ima loka imam praja. This whole world is progeny of these 7 of these rishis, maharshis, and the 4 manus. This is the description came in the 4th chapter also, but this is mentioned here for repeated, for emphasis. Ima prajaha. These are the creator. The whole creation is their progeny. Here it says, they were endowed with the power of Vishnu, the creator. They were all generated mentally by me, the Lord is saying, Manasa Jata. The creatures in this world, stationary and mobile, are the progeny of these Manus and these great seers, of the great rishis. Now, next verse. Slowly is moving to the main topic, Vibhuti Yoga. It's coming to that now. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mamayo veti tatvataha sovyakampena yogena yujyate natra samshaya. In the earlier verse he said, those who know me, they become free from all sins, whether committed knowingly or unknowingly. Now similarly in verse number 7 the Lord says, one who knows this vast power and yoga of mine, infinite power and glories of God, will be endowed with steady state of integration, yoga, avikampena yogena. There is no doubt about this. Atrana samshaya. Let us see. Etam vibhutim. This vast power. Vibhuti means the power of God manifest in everything. The glory of God seen in everything. Vibhuti. This whole chapter is called Vibhuti Yoga. In the later verses, after the introductory verses, Bhagavan is going to point out in what specific way his presence can be identified in specific objects. How to see God's power in the sun, how to see God's power in a female or a male, how to see God's power in some other object in nature, in river, in ocean, in mountain. All these things are going to be described in detail with numerous illustrations. So that is Vibhuti. Vibhuti means divine power manifested in specific things in creation. Eta Vibhutim Yogam cha. Yoga means here Sarvajnatvam. The Lord knows Sarvajna, everything. All other beings, especially human beings, they know limited things. We can only have limited knowledge. No human being can have unlimited knowledge. How much our mind can comprehend and retain, assimilate and retain? Very little, really. But the Lord is knower of everything because He is the creator of everything. Yoga here means Sarvajnatvam, is omniscience. Mama Tattvata Yahaveti, one who knows in reality, actually, the Lord's glory, infinite glories and infinite knowledge, omniscience. Saha, such a person, avikampena yogena yujyate. Such a person remains steadily, unwaveringly associated with the divine, with God. He is now separate, he is not separate. Actually, in the 7th chapter, verse number 17, Sri Krishna has gone to the extent of saying that the Jnani is myself. Jnani tvatmaiva me mataha. Jnani means one person who knows God. A person who knows God is same as God. One who knows God becomes God. That in the Upanishad is mentioned in a different way. Brahmavid Brahmaiva bhavati. One who knows Brahman becomes Brahman. Knows means experiences divine nature. So long as we are experiencing our body and mind only, we are mortals. Body mind is mortal, will go away someday. Once you experience our divine infinite nature, then you become one with the divine. There is no difference. Jnani tu atmava me matam iti 770. Same thing is mentioned here. Saha avikampena yogena. Without any break, steadily, such a person becomes united with me. Yogena yujyate natra samsaya. There is no doubt in this one. The Lord is declaring. So what is the way to become one with God? To know God. Knowing means experiencing our divine nature. Now we go to the verse number 8. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam udha bhava samanvitaha. What a wise person knows is this. A wise person, Buddhiman knows that the Lord is the source and cause of everything. Aham means here the Lord, Bhagavan. Aham Parabrahma. In the commentary, Shankara says, Aham Param Brahma Vasudevakyam Savasya Jagataha Pramavaha Utpatti. He is the source and origin, creator of the whole universe. That is Parabrahma. That is the Lord who is speaking. Krishna is speaking. Krishna is the Lord himself, as well. So next chapter. Next chapter, Vishwarupa Darshana, there Krishna reveals his cosmic form to Arjuna. The Lord himself has come in the form of Krishna to play the role in the Mahabharata episode. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. Prabhava means source, origin of everything, of all things, no exception. Everything has come from him. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. Matta means from me. Sarvam pravartate. Everything emanates from me. That we know. Earlier I referred to several times to the Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad mantra. There the same idea has come. Everything has come from the Lord. Everything is sustained by him, and everything merges back into him at the time of at the end of their cycle of existence. That is mentioned here. Matta sarvam pravartate. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, it says, Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisammishanti tad brahma tad vijñāsasva. Teacher says to the student, that from which everything, all the beings emanate. They begin their creation. They are created by that being. Para Brahman, supreme reality, Brahman in the Upanishad. Yena jatani jivanti jatani bhutani. Those beings which are born of him, from him, they live by his, sustained by him. Yat prayanti abhisammishanti. Those very beings which came from him, who came from him, who are sustained by him, they go back and merge into him at the end of their cycle of existence in this world. That is Brahman. That we have to know. Tad Brahma, tad vijñāsasva. Inquire into the nature of that reality, teacher says in the Upanishad. So here it says, Matta sarvam pravartate. From me, Matta from me, from the Lord. Everything takes birth. Everything emanates. Everything originates. Iti matva buddhaha mam bhavasamvitaha bhajante. Knowing this way, knowing that God is the origin of everything, source of everything, He is the sustainer of everything, is the destination of everything, knowing this, iti mam matva, knowing God in this way, buddhaha, wise people, intelligent people, bhava samanvitaha, means the wise people who are holding deeply to the truth. This is the truth. Bhava samanvitaha means bhavaha, bhavana, paramartha tattva abhinivesha tena samanvita. That means mind's attachment to the supreme reality. The ideas that they adore me with such attachment. Those who adore God, knowing that He is the origin of everything, source of everything, supporter of everything, destination of everything, those who know God in this way, they, Buddha, they are intelligent people, man bhajante, they worship me, knowing him in this way. We'll do one more verse, verse number 9. It's a simple one. Machitta madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Here Bhagavan says, when devotees meet, what do they talk about? How do they spend their time? Sri Ramakrishna said, when hemsmokers meet, they talk about their experiences. When devotees meet, they don't waste their time in talking about worldly matters. They don't talk about movies and all those other things that are going on. They talk about God only. That's what we should do. When we meet each other, we have to talk only about God. What we have read, what you understood, something that is interesting that we read, we have to talk about those. Not waste our time and energy in talking about worldly matters. Such people are true devotees. Machitta, those whose minds are fixed on me. Chitta means mind. Machitta means those devotees whose minds are fixed on the Lord. Madgata prana. To them, God is the very life. Their life surrendered to me in a translation. Their whole life means most important thing is God is there. Nothing else matters. Everything to the extent necessary, but no more. What is the one most important thing for devotees in their life is God, their chosen ideal. Madgata pranaha parasparam bodhayantaha, teaching each other. I have read this one, is what I have understood, and listen to what you have read, what you understood. Parasparam bodhayantaha kathayantascha mam nityam, talking about God. Kataram means talking about God, talking about Mam Kathayantascha Nityam always. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Tushyanti means they find contentment, happiness. Ramanti, they rejoice. Their only pleasure, happiness is in talking about God. Ordinary people talk about celebrities who think what and who has so much property and all those things, sports and movies and everything, but not devote. Devotees talk only about God because to them God is their very life is God. Vadgata pranaha. Then what happens? Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. They find happiness, they rejoice in talking about the glories of God. That's what we should do. That means we should not waste even 1 second in talking about or thinking about worldly matters. Narada Maharshi says in the Bhakti Sutras, Kshanardamapi vyartham na nayet. Kshanar means half a second, half a moment. Vyartham na nayet should not be wasted in talking about unnecessary worldly things. Every moment we have is precious. Every moment we have to talk only about God and His glories. That's how that enhances our devotion. Then in the next verse, we'll do next time what the Lord will do. How will He bestow His grace upon such devotees? What will He grant? That will be in the next verse, verse number 10. We'll do that next time. So let me say the closing prayer. Before that, if you have any questions or comments to make, you can bring it up now. Question?
Maharaj, I have a question.
Raju Ram Gopal.
Yeah, yes, Maharaj. So the question I have was from the third verse, Maharaj. So Bhagavan says, Sarva Papaihi Pramuchyate.
Pramuchyate.
Why does he say Sarva Papaihi Pramuchyate instead of Sarva Papebhya? Like
Sarva Papaihi, that Tritiya Vibhakti, plural.
Yes.
That's the proper form.
But
Pramuchyate.
but Tritiya Vibhakti is instrumental, right, Maharaj?
Sarvapapaihi means Tritiya Vibhakti or Panchami Vibhakti. Sarvapapaihi Pramuchyate, Panchami. From all sins. Yeah, Panchami Vibhakti. Sarvapapaihi Pramuchyate. I thought it was Tritiya Vibhakti, Papa. Papena Papa Vyam Papai.
Yes, Maharaj. It is Tritiya Vibhakti, Maharaj. It is not Panchami Vibhakti. It is Tritiya Vibhakti. But why does he say through all sins instead of from all sins? That is my question, Maharaj.
Word Vyasa chose.
Oh.
Vyasa Maharshi composed Mahabharata. These are his words, not necessarily Lord's words. What actually conversation happened between Krishna and Arjuna, we don't know. This is Vyasa's narration and Sanjaya's narration to Dhritarashtra that Vyasa wrote like this. So the true word, I don't think they went to 700 slokas in the battlefield. Not in these words. How they communicated, I don't think they were speaking Sanskrit. They were speaking some language at that time which was prevalent. So we don't know the Lord's words actually. That's what the Vyasa has. That's what Sanjaya said that Vyasa has. We have Sanjaya's version. It's okay, it doesn't matter. The sense is important, not the word. Panchami or Tritiya, that is the grammar scholars debate on that one. Devotees, they just take the sense. We'll be freed from all sin. That's what we have to know. Very good. Closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavanta Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy, may all be free from diseases, may there be harmony and no ill will among all the beings, may no one be subject to any kind of misery or suffering. Om peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts, Adhyatmika Shanti, may there be peace and harmony amongst all beings, Adi Bhautika Shanti. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. All of you stay well, and God willing, we shall see you next week.